Hey guys, what's crackin'? Godsman here, coming at you with the final reveal for V-Clan Collection Volume 5 and 6. It's finally here. We're at the end of the road. There have been so many reveals up to this point, a lot of review videos, and a lot of hype cards this set. Like, low-key, this set was one of the better sets, like, if not the best clan collections we've received so far. That's just my opinion, though. Anyway, and it all culminates with Omega Glendios and 3 other Starvators, which, surprisingly enough, is like different. Let's just be real here. Worldline Dragon is a grade 1. There's no reverse cradle, so yeah, there's a lot of intrigue here. But we're not here just for pictures, right? Let's talk effects. Glendios is still a paragraph. That'll be fun to get to. But first, let's start with Starvator Worldline Dragon, which was initially a grade 0 starter Vanguard for the Glendios deck, as it were. So reprinting it in the V series as a grade 1 retrain is quite interesting. They gave it the Claudus treatment, more or less. So what does it do? Well, it's a fantastic card because it's got one effect and it's a hell of an effect. When this unit is placed on Van or rear, you can Soul Blast 1 and discard a reverse in its like card name from your hand. So clearly we can run reverses in this deck. That it was to nobody's surprise, absolutely. You look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 2 cards with Starvator in their card names from among them, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle. That's really nice, but I'm going to go over the other cards because this is all sort of a system as a whole. They're not quite so tight-knit, but I think we need to look at the other cards to understand. So, Taboo Starvator Rubidium. So Rubidium was another pretty cool unit, and their return is a little bit surprising, but maybe not that surprising. So what does Rubidium do? Well, 2 effects. The first one is when this unit is placed on Van Circle specifically, so just Van Circle, you keep the top 7 cards of your deck, you choose a reverse card from among them, reveal it, put in your hand, shuffle your deck. Neat, another plus. Continuous on Rear Circle. If you've got Glendios as your Vanguard, all of your reverse units get the ability to intercept and their original shield becomes 10k. No, this is original shield. So if there's any rulings about like shield value or whatever, their original shield is 10k as long as this effect is active. So that's just what it is. Now then, moving on, we got Starvator Magnet Hollow. Yeah, no reverse cradle, surprisingly. We got Magnet Hollow instead. But, you know, at least Magnet Hollow is a pretty cool card because this is what he does. When this unit is placed on Van or rear, if you have a Vanguard with Starvator in its card name, Glendios, you counterblast 1 to search your deck for a reverse, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. Any reverse you want. Neato. Continuous on Rear Circle. During your turn, this unit gets power plus 5k for each card with reverse in their different card names in your bind zone. Now that's intriguing. Bind zone. Oh boy, when I first read that, I was like, oh crap, what does Glendios do now? So here we have it. The final card of this set. Starvator Omega Glendios. Truly, the most fitting card to end us off. You know, the break ride era. How could it not be Omega Glendios? So what does he do? Well, surprisingly, he's rather faithful to his original. He's got 4 skills, and they're pretty neat. The first one being a continuous on Van Circle. The original power of your rearguard reverse units becomes 18,000. Wow. Second effect, auto on Van. At the beginning of your main phase, if you have 5 or more cards in your damage zone, ultimate break, and if your opponent has 5 or more locked cards, you win the game, aka the exact same frickin' world end effect that original Glendios had. He still has this effect. Wowee. So third effect is an act on Van. You Soul Blast 1 and choose a reverse in its card name from your drop that does not have the same name as face-up cards in your bind zone and bind it. And during your opponent's next end phase, your opponent cannot turn their cards face up, so they cannot remove the delete state, countercharge, unlock, so on and so forth. Okay. So it's essentially the one deleter. It was a worm, like I think his name was Barrel was his name, and so it had the same basic stimulation of they cannot flip up stuff during the end phase. So this is basically his Omega lock, if you will. Now, the final effect is auto and van once per turn when, and note, this is in fact once per turn. When your unit with reverse in its card name is placed on the rear circle, you choose one of your opponent's rear guards not on an additional rear circle and lock it. Okay, so this is it. This is Glendios, and this is the reverse shenanigans that Bushy has allotted us in V. So let's talk about this. Going down the list, right? Omega Glendios is pretty freaking faithful to his original. He basically has all of his basic skills. Placing a reverse nets you a lock. You're able to get rid of a reverse in order to Omega lock. You have the ultimate break where 5 locks equates to alternative win condition, and you can buff the power of your reverses on rear. So it's just Omega Glendios, but Viified, which is to say it's better because it comes with the force marker and it comes with stronger stats. It comes with making things 1800 instead of just giving them plus 4k. It's got a lot of stuff going for it. So that's really freaking nice. Now, on top of that, it seems that they're going with more or less the original strategy, which is you just fill up your deck with a bunch of reverse units and you use those reverse units to fuel your game state. Now, the one thing that's very interesting and different about Glendios is the fact that it has the bind zone shenanigan for its Omega lock. That's really cool because that means that the bind zone shenanigan is a great way to not necessarily hurt your card advantage so much because you're going to be using your reverses for like different stuff. After you call them, it's like, well, okay, neat. Sure, they're a bit bigger, but now it's like, what do I do with them? That's where we segue into the other cards, right? Rubidium allowing your reverses to get intercept and plus 10k shield, or well, not even plus 10k shield, just 10k shield as their base, is really cool. That means that you're able to use them for defensive value as well as offensive value, and then now they're in the drop zone in a very proactive way. So now you Omega lock, so that's very key. This on paper looks like Brick City. And yes, it is pretty much Brick City. You're having to run all these reverses, which are all just ubiquitously grade 3 with Omega Glendios, which is already going to be presumably a 4 of grade 3. So the more reverses you run, the more grade 3s you're running. Now, I'm not sure how many reverses you should run. Some people have suggested somewhere in the ballpark of like 7 was like a good number. You can do that if you want, right? You know, just bam, make it 11 grade 3s. You're going to hurt your ratios, but that's why they did things like make Worldline over here a freaking grade 1, because having it be a grade 0, it wouldn't be a starter because we don't have that in V, right? Like unique skill starters. It's all just the same V star skill. They couldn't make it in main deck grade 0 because then your grades for riding are really effed up at that point. I mean, you've got the ride consistency of like Gear Chronicle at that point, if even. So I'm glad they're doing that. Now, the consistency is not all bad, right? It looks like Brick City just from the style alone, but that's why we have a lot of good cards. Worldline Dragon is essentially like the top 7 searchers that you see in Nightmare Dolls or Astral Poets, right? Astral Poets got Decay, and then you've got the grade 2 Nightmare Doll. Their ability to like peep 7 and get up to 2, it's a good economy because even if you only get 1, you're essentially breaking even, but it's a selected search more or less. But getting 2 is really, really impactful. And remember, Starvators, they don't have like they have somewhat of a cool search like card in terms of Craven Claw, but that's it. They've dropped the ball when it came to Colony Maker. Colony Maker was way overcosted. It's not even a plus. So with this, you're able to get your Starvators and make it a plus. And sure, okay, you're Soul Blasting, but I think you get where I'm going with this, right? Like, you're going to want to use your Soul Blast on this because there's not a lot of stuff here that demands Soul Blast from that point on, right? On top of that, discarding a reverse is of course cool because sure, you're losing out on reverse, but now it's in the drop zone, so you know what that means. You get to bind it with Glendios. Rubidium similarly is able to search your reverse. So whereas Worldline is your Starvator searcher, Rubidium is your reverse searcher. Now Rubidium is less versatile because it's just on the van circle, but by contrast, it's free. And it may or may not whiff depending on how many reverses you have, but at least it's freaking free. So that's really nice. But yeah, this is just like a really solid rear guard anyway because it makes your reverses solid rear guards. Now Magnet Hollow. Magnet Hollow is also really important. This one is like superior in the sense that you just, sure, you pay a counterblast for it, but again, We're not seeing a lot of need for things like Counterblast or whatnot. Like Glendios doesn't even Counterblast, it just has a Soul Blast, right? This is great, use your Counterblast. Just get a reverse whenever you call this guy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. If you use a freaking, if you want to lock a card for a Counterblast with freaking Zirconium, you're going to lock a card to get a reverse unit with Magnet Hollow. That's just how it is. And it's also cute that it gets more power during your turn. I'm not sure how relevant that is, but I mean, hey, you have it, right? So good on you, Buckaroo. So yeah, there's a lot to say about this. And yet, we just have to recognize the fact that for those of us who have experienced the Glendios deck from, hell, even in Zero, but also just like in the original Breakright era, this is just the Glendios deck, right? You just have your strong consistency pieces to get your reverses, and then use those reverses to lock down, turtle up, go for win con. And honestly, it's kind of beautiful. Now, I'll be real with you, it's not a meta contender. It's definitely probably not going to top, probably. It's probably not topping or anything, but who the frick cares? This is Glendios we're talking about. It's the spectacle. It's not about topping the meta. It's about sending a message. And that message is Link Joker is the king of the reverse, because it has this cool ass gimmick with it. One thing though, one fairly disappointing thing, but it's a necessity, right? A necessary evil, which is that they have done a rule change now for V Premium. And this rule change does make it official that yes, you can run reverses in Link Joker decks, not just a Glendios deck, a Link Joker deck in general, right? So that's cool, yay. Problem. They do not get their text nor their markers. In fact, they don't even get their icons according to the rules. That means that you won't get their gifts if you write them, and they are essentially vanillas. It's pretty oof. That's pretty oof, not gonna lie. So there's not going to be a lot of loop combos or shenanigans. And keep in mind, this rule also got thrown into Premium so that you can't like abuse in Premium as well. So they really were just like, hey guys, we made some really strong reverses, especially in this set. And we can't let Link Joker just do some weird wombo combo crap, because there's way too many variables to keep track of at that point. Because when you think about like support you're giving to Starvators, you also got to think about support that you're giving to like literally any of those potential Vanguards that are reverses, right? So it was a good move, but it is quite a bummer, to be real. But I had to bring that up just in case we were already like getting down to the deck testing and the theory crafting and oh yes, how can I break these reverses even more? So do keep that in mind. But overall, yeah, this is solid reveals. It's a great way to end off this pretty fantastic set. There's a lot that I have to say about this set, but I feel it's best to save it for its own dedicated video. I am of course going to be making a tier list on this set. That's more or less going to be my first priority. I feel it's probably going to be the next video I upload, in fact, within, I don't know, maybe a couple days or something. I've got to get the scans, put together the tier list, and then also just accumulate my thoughts on this, right? We basically, me and my group have already tested basically every other reveal up to this point, so I've got a good impression about them. Glendios is the only enigma, right? The only X factor, so to speak. So I may need like a day with a couple of the Link Joker mains to just confer about where would Glendios fit within the tier list. But do look forward to that. As a matter of fact, my most well-performing video in my channel was actually a tier list for the V Premium meta, and most of my tier lists are actually pretty like well-performing, so you guys seems to like them. I'm not sure if that's because of me or if just because like tier lists in general are pretty popular, but you know, I'm happy to always do more, so do look forward to that. And aside from that, I'm also going to be making a couple of deck profiles from here on out, mainly with Drag Ruler and Spectral Dupe. So those are going to be great deck profiles to look forward to. I'm really excited to get those out to y'all. And yeah, I think that about covers it. Great set, great journey. I'm glad to have been able to do all these reviews, and honestly, V is my main format, so even though premium selection was cool to get through, I'm really happy to have just been able to do this video series for like a clan collection, and I totally want to do it for volume 7 and 8, because this is the part of Vanguard that I cherish, is when Bushy gets creative with the V format of all formats, because it's where I'm home at. So I'm feeling something, man. I'm feeling something. Anyway, I'm not going to keep y'all any longer. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more Vanguard content, then do subscribe down below and check out some of my other videos. As previously stated, there's going to be some more content coming on the way shortly involving a post-analysis, tier list, and deck profiles on the Clan Collection sets of 5 and 6. So then, take care. God bless.